Excuse me. It's not a good way to start a video. But greetings, everybody. Um, Back with another movie spoiler review, just to wrap up International Women's Day, and I thought it'd be fitting to do a spoiler review of the 2017's Wonder Woman movie, starring Gal Gadot and Chris Pine, directed by Patty Jenkins. And God, I remember like this. I think this is like the honestly either the second or third time me watching this film. I like to see this probably the third time. But I enjoy every time I see it. More particularly the No Man's Land scene, because this movie is phenomenal and really, really, it's like on the same level as like Black Panther. How much this was like did gangbusters, because I mean like all sorts of women like just lost their minds, and they went out to so support little girls sitting there at the red carpet, taking pictures with Gal Gadot, and like Linda Carter was there, the original Wonder Woman, and it's like it was a whole thing. I mean, I remember vividly how because just like with like this came out like a year before Black Panther did, and like Black Panther, because kudos to Patty Jenkins and Ryan Coogler, because I believe they knew, like we all probably knew, that this, I mean, the sequels can be, wherever the sequel's going to be, but the first female-led, female-directed superhero movie, and the first first black directed superhero movie led by an all black cast, and none of the stereotypical BS having them shown in a great positive light. They had to be good. This is not like something like Scream or Texas Chainsaw Massacre or Jaws or or Predator or just or like Knives Out or something like that. This had so much writing on it, so they have to be good. I mean, like across the board. I mean, like maybe not across the board, because no movie's perfect, but it had to do well. It was imperative, because nobody took like female-led films seriously at all. Hollywood never give, like, to be honest, particularly to like for the longest time, I would say Hollywood, but I mean certain studios, in their mindset, they thought like black led cast or female led cast of like superhero films especially wouldn't be marketed well. Of course it can be marketed well. You just got to put some trust behind it. But you think like women can only be shown a particular way to be marketable, and black people can only be shown a particular way to be marketable. But it's like it goes to show, if you have like a trustworthy director and writers behind it with a vision, you can dole out dividends. And that's what Black Panther and Wonder Woman did. And I already did my spoiler review for Black Panther a week ago, so you can check out my review for that, or at least a couple weeks ago by this point. But anyway, yeah, this is pretty much like like Captain America vibes. Let me adjust my seat for a second. Yeah, much better. It's like I think Patty Jenkins even mentions like she took inspiration from, obviously, from Superman, because there's certain scenes that give vibes from Christopher Reeve's Superman. I think that's how you play it well with Wonder Woman, with like the hope and optimism and stuff like that. But you also get like vibes from like Captain America: First Avenger with like the time period setting and what have you. Well, of course, Captain America was in WW2. This is WW1, but it's like same feel. So the movie begins obviously with present day, with like Wonder Woman getting like a gift from Bruce with like an old picture he found with her and Steve Trevor and like her other friends during this time when she was fighting during WW1 and helping out the Allied nations against Germany. And you see like her flashback, during times as a child, and her mother regaling her stories, regaling her with stories about the Olympian gods and their, fight against Ares, who manipulated mankind because he grew jealous of how, Zeus, was his creations. But it's like, well, you're kind of mixing up your mythologies because, like, it's Zeus. Well, I put historically in air quotes here, but Zeus historically in texts and stuff like that never created mankind. It was already here. He was birthed from Kronos and a woman, and it's supposed to have been like eaten because Kronos was afraid of being killed and usurped by his children. He never created mankind. It was like the Christian God who created mankind in his own image, and blase blase. But they kind of like played around with that, I guess. But Ares manipulated mankind, causing like them to like fight amongst each other, and he ended up wounding Ares critically, and secured the Amazons on Themyscira to be protected, and gave them this god killer to help defend them against Ares if or when he returns. So Hippolyta try as she might try to avoid Diana being trained, thinking like, oh, Ares is dead. At least she's pretty much telling herself that Ares is dead. He haven't came back since, and blah blah blah. But thanks to Apathy, what's her name? Antiope, who were constantly encouraging Hippolyta, like, you want to protect her, but the best way to do it is making sure she's ready to fight. So they trained her like, hard. And then, of course, you get the story with Steve Trevor entering Themyscira, probably one of the most classic stories of Wonder Woman. But unlike Superman, Batman, and Spider-Man, you don't see Wonder Woman that often and told in a myriad different ways enough to get tired of her origin story, because you don't get much of it. And once again, you don't get much. It'd be nice to have like a Wonder Woman TV series, because you get like 1,000 different Batman TV series and like maybe like a few Superman TV series, and like of course a Justice League TV series. But that's what I was saying. Like, I remember there was like a video I have up on the channel that you guys should definitely check out, where I discuss why I think we have like too many Batman TV shows. Or like I pose it as a question, like, are there too many Batman TV series? And like, I don't think we do. I think like everybody's always got like at least there's like I'm exaggerating now, 1,000 Batman TV shows, but it's like there's a dozen, like quite a dozen, and maybe like less than half that with Superman. But if you actually, because if you do like some effort research, there's a lot of Wonder Woman Rose Gallery that you can actually make a solid TV series for her. That's what I'm saying. It's like, why nobody ever gave a shit, especially after the success of Wonder Woman. You would think they'd be like, I want Wonder Woman TV show down the pipeline like yesterday. We haven't done that yet, which is weird. You gave like a Harley Quinn TV show, and like, yes, he's ipso facto a pillar of the DC universe now, but Wonder Woman's been there from the jump. You would think like, you'd be doling out a Wonder Woman TV series because, you got like a good, not only like Greek, mythological enemies, but you got like Cheetah, Dr. Poison, you got, Dr. Psycho, that I only find out from the Harley Quinn TV show that's a Wonder Woman bad guy. But, there's quite a bit that you can do with Wonder Woman. I think Giganta is one of hers. But honestly, I'm just shocked. There have not been one Wonder Woman. I mean, aside from Linda Carter's TV show in the 70s, I'm talking about like a cartoon TV series with Wonder Woman. Why hasn't it not been done so yet? That is weird, especially, like I said, after the success of Wonder Woman, studios have been like on it. But what's the first thing they go to? Some version of a Batman related thing. And if you say like Harley Quinn is her own thing, it's a Batman related thing. And just guarantee bucks for some people. And it's just like, you got to give Wonder Woman a chance. Give her a TV series and see what happens. But anyway, after Steve crashed in Themyscira, and he expressed, or at least explained to them about like there's this great war happening, and I'm an ally spy. Of course, he's being tied up by the lasso of truth, but like, I'm an ally spy. I am I've been trying to, like, we're fighting this war, that's encompassing the world. And Diana thinks, oh, this is Ares. This has to be Ares. And she steals like the God Killer sword, her classic uniform, and the shield, and goes off with Steve Trevor to help stop Ares and put an end to this war. Much to the Hippolyta's dismay, but she knows she can't stop her. But she also explains that once you leave, you won't be able to come back. And Diana resigned herself like, I understand, but I gotta do this. So, and this is kind of makes Wonder Woman the most unique out of a lot of superheroes, is that unlike like Batman or Superman or Spider-Man or like the large chunk of a superhero community, they don't have Wonder Woman doesn't have like a tragic backstory. She becomes a superhero because she is called to do what's right. She wants to actually just do what's right. She didn't need a reason. She's not motivated by anything, which is so unique in her own way. It's just like I have the power to do something. I want to step up and I want to do something about it to help her fellow man and woman. And which makes her awesome in her own right, and is so aspiring in that way. And she's just sweet. There's a lot of sweet moments with Wonder Woman in this, but there's this, like, the ice cream scene. It was kind of a callback to a good I don't know if it was like a Justice League thing or just a Wonder Woman thing, but like I recall reading something, I think it's a Justice League thing, where it's like there's an ice cream seller in a comic book, and like Wonder Woman, you see her try ice cream for the first time, and she's swinging her sword in the air. You should be proud of yourself, you ice cream cart man. She just love ice cream. She's the first time she ever tasted ice cream before. But there was like another awesome panel in a Wonder Woman comic where like once again, I'm confused whether or not it's just a Justice League thing or a Wonder Woman thing. I'm only 70% sure it's a Justice League thing, but it's like, you know, in DC and Wonder Woman's, you know, going to take care of something, but there's like a mob outside, and then one dude in the mob is giving her shit, you know, like very misogynistic and blase. But then I don't know how it led to this, but Wonder Woman put the lasso of truth around him, and he just admits in front of a large people that, like, you know, at night I like dressing up as Wonder Woman. It gives me strength and confidence. And like, you know, and it made Wonder Woman smile, because you never know, because like he just, you know, it's hard to put into words like why he's so doggone antagonistic to the person that you secretly admire, but it's like, you know, I don't know, you hate what you love kind of situation. I don't know, but before she leaves, she says to him like, you know, I like wearing this too. It does make me feel confident. It's like, it's kind of reminiscent to like Superman's like debut in certain iterations, to where a kid make a compliment about Superman's clothes, and he just says, "Thanks, my mom made it for me." Is that it runs parallel to that to me? And it's like, because like I would wear a Wonder Woman shirt. Matter of fact, next time I go to a con, I want to find a Wonder Woman T-shirt for myself, because like, why wouldn't you want to wear something Wonder Woman? Because whether you're a man, woman, or binary person, it's like you want to feel confident, and Wonder Woman will make you feel confident. It give you kind of like a strength when you wear like a Wonder Woman symbol. Like, why the fuck wouldn't you? But anyway, getting ahead of myself. But it was a cool moment with Diana and Steven, like on a boat ride to London, and he was getting like a little like antsy, like, like, because one of them was like, her upbringing is just like, it's just no like nervousness or embarrassment or anything like that. It's just like, it's like he's like, well, like, I don't want to just assume that I was going to be laying next to you. I don't want you to think I'm doing anything, or because it's improper, and just to immediately lay right next to you. It's like, why not? Why don't you just, it's like, it's just like the whole entire thing is, it could easily have been played as obnoxious, but it's just like Gal Gadot's acting just made it like just adorable. And it's like, and I love it where it's like, because, like Robot Chicken likes to play on, Wonder Woman like being like a ultra feminist kind of situation. But like, no, like Wonder Woman doesn't hate men. She doesn't think like women are better than men. She wanted like women is equal to men. And it's like, and then like, unlike the animated Wonder Woman movie, which I did enjoy, but in that one, I didn't care for, but there's like an arc to it. But it's just that to make it seem like, not only like women are like, there's this moment where like, a woman is placating to her feminine wiles to get a guy to lift a package for her, but she kind of like intervenes like, why'd you need him to lift a package for you? You're strong and virile yourself. You can easily lift this package for yourself. And give, guys crap about like, doing certain things, for women. It's just, she had to learn that, there are certain things that's okay to do and it's not misogynistic or anything like that. And like, that kind of thing. And I just don't want like, I think a lot of people was worried about how like it's going to be portrayed in this film, from my recollection, trying to go back to prior to 2017, where it's like maybe some people were nervous that it's going to be like man bashing or anything like that. No, there was no man bashing. It was just like, men being treated respectfully and women being treated respectfully. But it's also in like during the 1918, the year 1918, where it's like obviously during like the whole like women really didn't have any rights, but and women being treated a certain way. But it's made it even more awesome the fact that Wonder Woman wasn't, you know, like, I'm not dealing with that bullshit. Fuck you. Like, you know, and then I love when she's getting like generals' faces like, you're cowards. You know, you sit in your nice little office instead of going on the front lines with your men. Like you call yourself generals. It's like, it's like Captain America in a way to me. And it's like, it's just like Captain America. It's like, I believe Steve Rogers would have said the exact same thing. But they made their way to London, and like they had to give Diana some clothes because you can't walk around with like just, you know, armor. And it's like a funny little montage where she trying on all these different clothes, but like most of them kind of restrict her movements, and she's like, you know, but she found something that's nice, and then you get that whole stopping like those spies in the alleyway, that awesome bullying deflecting scene. And I gotta say, the Wonder Woman guitar riff theme that we got from is one of the few things that we got from BVS that I think a lot of people enjoyed. That guitar riff is just like, every time you hear it, you just get so pumped and you're ready to do some shit. It's like, it's like, oh my God, it's like, get you so freaking amped. It's like, hell yeah, Wonder Woman. It's like, Wonder Woman, hell yeah. Oh my God, I love that freaking theme. Like, they don't overdo it, but I mean, I wouldn't hate it to hear it every time she's in action. Like, hell yeah. Because once that music plays, bodies don't get dropped. Like, you know, it's just like, she's just an overall badass. But then, like, you know, Steve has these contests, this book that he stole from Dr. Poison during one of his undercover missions, and hand delivered it to his superiors, but learning there's, you know, some advanced form of mustard gas that they plan on dropping on this little village near Vleg, this area where the front lines are, near this little village of Vled. And while the superiors are telling Steve like, they can't go there because they're in like peace talks and blah blah blah, and it's so ironic, you know, looking at this movie and thinking about like what's going on in Ukraine and stuff like that, and it's like crazy how like eerie it runs parallel. But you know, and like my deepest prayers going out to the Ukrainian people right now, and I hope this, you know, all said and done, like, you know, Putin, you know, getting his, you know, hopefully gets his ass beat and surrenders, because he can eat all the dicks, that piece of shit Putin. But anyway, Steve goes and finds his crew, his band of brothers in arms. It's Samir, Charlie, Chief. Yeah, I think those three. Played by Saeed Tamawi, Ewan Bremer, and Eugene Braverock. And would you believe, like, this is like at that moment in time, I think he got like another gig back in 2020. This is like, he only had like 3 films he you know, starred in, this being his second one. And like, apparently, like, kudos to Patty Jenkins, like, you know, want to make sure he had complete agency on what his character, you know, is, because he was worried about being, you know, representing poorly, given the fact that of his name being Chief and being of Native American descent. She makes sure, like, you know, how he chooses to have that character present, he has full agency over. So that way, there's no, you know, no way it's misconstrued in any fashion or disrespected in any fashion. And he was like surprised. He was literally like noted, saying like, he was surprised at her words. Like, we specifically mentioned like he says it was unprecedented how like a director would like, I guess, say something like that. Like, really? Like, but I guess it's like, it's a lot of like, chunk of stereotypical bullcrap went on in Hollywood for a lot of years. But, thankfully there's, changes, that's been made through the, slowly but surely over time. So to gather these people together and they get to the front lines, and of course, he's at no man's land. You get that awesome scene, and of course, not only Diana helps take some dudes out, but knowing that, some of her friends are taking shots at the enemy, but even she still like wants to preserve life as much as possible. She, takes a lot of people down, and make sure they're, for the most part, most of them are subdued, so they won't get shot. And she destroys all these like machine guns and stuff like that. And it's like they're all incapacitated. You don't need any more killing than there already has been. Of course, if you ever read enough of Wonder Woman, you know that being a warrior woman, while she does want to preserve life and peace and everything like that, she will use, she will have to, if one of her famous moments in comic book history, she killed Maxwell Lord, who mind controls Superman, and knowing that the only way to, thanks to the Lasso of Truth, figuring out that the only way to stop him was to kill him, she didn't hesitate and just like, all right, snapped his neck, which stopped his mind control over Superman. And of course, this kind of put a rift between Bruce and Superman with her, because like they don't kill for no reason, and like she didn't agree. It's like, I don't go around just straight up butchering people, but it's like if I have to, if it's my last resort in order to save a life or lots of lives, I will take down the enemy lethally if I have to. Which I can't thoroughly begrudge her. I don't think anybody would. But they save this village, and like, you get this nice moment between Steve and Diana, and it's like, it's nice. It's like, it's just such a shame how it got a tiny bit tainted in the sequel. Eventually I will do like a review of Wonder Woman 2 and obviously talk about that. But it's just like, this is a beautiful moment between Steve and Diana, and which kind of elevates the reason why their relationship should be on par with Bruce and Catwoman, and Peter Parker and Mary Jane, and Clark Kent and Lois Lane, because their relationship is like, iconic too. Because like, I wasn't like a ultra Wonder Woman reader growing up. I read a fair bit, and what I always known is that Wonder Woman and Steve Trevor were meant to be together. They, were always been a couple in my growing up. To me, they always were like a couple. So I'm glad that was so played so well, and I think Chris Pine plays a great Steve Trevor. And it's kind of like a shame, because like when I knew this movie was coming out and like, supposed to be set in WW1, I was kind of disappointed, because like, Steve Trevor is supposed to be in the modern day, and it's like, like maybe after like the Flashpoint movie, and where they, do like eventually obviously a hard, reset with the DC universe, maybe they can like, reverse certain things to make Steve Trevor, have him like in a modern day instead, and actually have like a solid relationship because with Wonder Woman, because their chemistry is just on point. So the next day after they spend the night together, they find out about this gala the German forces are holding, and believing that the German leader, played by Danny Houston, to be the God of War Ares, she is like very adamant of going so she can just straight up kill him, because like so that would like stop like all this fighting. But Steve stops her, which kind of like because it will end up ruining his mission, because he needs to find where they stockpile all this stuff, and he gotta get close to Dr. Poison in order to do this. So, with that moment failed, uh, you know, the Ludwig use I keep want to say Ludwig. I'm saying that right? No, Eric. I keep saying Ludwig for some reason. Eric Ludendorff. He dropped the. He ordered like some of the poison to be dropped on the village that they just saved the other night, and a lot of people from that village were dead, and which upsets Diana. And then she is like, I love this scene where it's like she's come to realization, like, like I could have saved them. I could, I would have like, stopped, prevented this if you let me finish my mission. And like Ares got to you too. And it's like, and it's like there's a nice little arc where a lot of people already mentioned this a long time ago, that how like the ending to this kind of like undercuts or could have been played better. But we'll get to that. She believes like, oh, Ares got to everybody, even you, Steve. Is like, you want this war. I mean, not want it, but you just like, you prevented me from doing my job. And they go to this base, and of course, Wonder Woman gets to Ludendorff, kills him, but it didn't do anything, which kind of throws her for a loop. It's like, and she doesn't know, and she's talking with Steve, like I don't know what's going on. It's supposed to stop. Why isn't it stuff? And then Steve just had, which would have been it is, but he explains to her like, look, I wish there was a single back. That's why I say it's like running good parallel, eerily parallel to what's going on with Ukraine and Russia right now. But it's like, he says like, I wish there was one single bad guy that we can just deal with, specifically. But sometimes, we aren't always good. And it's like, we have disagreements that lead to war sometimes. And it's like, a lot of people wish, and I agree, it's like, I wish that could just like, one would just help Steve stop these poisons going out, and just stop like a lot of these enemy forces and stuff like that, and help end the war. And she comes to the realization that sometimes there's good and bad in all people, and sometimes things escalate, but there's no ultimate big bad. But of course there is, because you gotta have, it's a superhero film, because you gotta have like a big CGI fight and crap. And of course Steve's close friend back at London, Sir Patrick, turns out to be played by David Thewlis, who turns out to be Ares. And a lot of people make jokes about like, oh, this British fop is this legendary god of war, and like, I mean, there's certain moments where not a lot of people like this fight. Just like not a lot of people like the certain shots of Black Panther and Killmonger fighting because it's very CGI heavy, but there's bits that I like in this fight where it's like I like how, because Ares the God of War, he manipulate all these weapons and these machines to build his own, like his recreated his armor, his Ares armor. And yeah, I think they could have, well, I was about to say, like, I think they could have used like a different actor to play like a God of War Ares, but then you kind of missed the point of being hiding in plain sight, playing this whole British fop. But then again, you could have also still maintained that British dude appearance, but then he, being like a mythical god, he can easily change his appearance to be his more stronger visage, and having played as somebody else that's with some imposing presence to him. Because no shade to Thulis, but he doesn't have that kind of presence to him to instill kind of like intimidation. But he's trying to manipulate Diana to, like, work with him to, because like man doesn't deserve this world. Even though he's been manipulating them behind the scenes to incite war. She decided not to like take her aggression out anybody, even though, because Steve, she remembers what Steve said, because like Steve goes off realizing that they gotta deal with these last bit of gas in this biplane, and they can't shoot it down anywhere near, because like the poison could easily drop somewhere like nearby to in her innocence. So he has to fly it straight up into like a particular altitude so it can dissipate safely. But that resulted in him like having to commit suicide and shoot those canisters and blow it up with him inside it. Even though like some people say like, why couldn't you like get like find like a bomb, leave it inside while you parachute out as it blows up. But I guess maybe you think maybe the gas was trying to dissipate in the air and you might get caught up in that, maybe. I don't know. But that could have been a way to keep yourself from having to commit suicide, but whatever. It's like an honorable sacrifice. And it's like a nice little moment where he's telling Diana he loves her, that he'll save. A nice little line. It's like, I saved the day, you save tomorrow. Something like that. And with her grief, she was like nearly about to like tear out the whole entire place. But she recalled Steve, and like he brings her to her senses, and she ends up destroying Ares for good, always like for good. Because knowing like like stuff like I've seen Wonder Woman take on Ares in like comics and TV shows, and it's like he never is gone for good. But maybe I'm thinking of Hades, actually. Scratch that. I'm thinking of Hades. But they, with the Ares death, like a lot of people's like come to their senses, and this ends World War I. And while everybody at London is celebrating, she like looks onto Steve's photograph in this memorial thing, and then it brings up in present day, while she's like emailing Bruce, thanks for the picture. But then again, it's like during that moment I remember like the beginning of Wonder Woman 2, how like, because it's like Etta Candy, when the Wonder Woman allies in the comics, who's in this film. I think she like played by as like Lucy Davis, and like there was it's like an awesome scene between these two, but there's like a photograph in Wonder Woman 2 where she's looking upon like a photograph of, obviously that's Etta Candy when she's like, because this is the 80s. At some point, like she's a little like obviously like a little old lady at this point, and it's kind of that moment. It's like choked me up a little bit because like because Wonder Woman is immortal, and so all of her friends that she made during this during WW1 has long gotten old and died at this point, because obviously anybody who was a full-grown adult during 1918 wouldn't be around 70 years later. So it's kind of like sad and everything like that. But anyway, yeah, I mean, to the, aside from that whole fight with Ares, that to this day I think like, yeah, we did not need that. It could have played so much better. It's just men fighting, and like it's no big bad in it. It's just like escalation between like like an evil access power against allied forces, and men just escalations. To this day, yeah, it still could have been played a whole lot better, but what are you gonna do? But anyway, yeah, but still pretty solid film. Beyond that, I love this great film. I love Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, and little people, I don't know how many people know this, but she's like a former Israeli commando from last time I checked, and like she's like an overall badass. She can like easily, after the whole Joss Whedon bullshit, I'm surprised she didn't squash his head like a grape, because she could easily done so, because she's that skilled. Realistically, she can kick your ass. Don't get fooled by just because she's a thin woman doesn't mean like she can't not kick your ass. And I like the fact that because she her you can hear still her native language through her accent, and it's like I'm glad that she didn't have to speak in like an English dialect in this film, with like with having like the Amazonians speak in her dialect, so it'll match her, even if they it's not like done well in certain points. It wouldn't really matter because it's not about them. They can just be like background characters for the most part. And like I thought that was great. Wonder Woman didn't have to like Gal Gadot didn't have to like fake an accent. She could just stick with her own accent. And like the fact that she speak other languages so fluently, even better than the actual speaker like Samir, who speaking these different languages, but he doesn't speak Greek, and he's getting like that was a whole thing that I just love. It's like, yeah, she can out talk you or like outdo you when it comes to other native languages, and do it so much, not only fluently, but just like she's was raised there. It's so good. But yeah, also unlike BBS, where it's like Whedonism, where there's certain shots where it's like very unbecoming, where it's like you don't need to see like certain ass shots or whatever shots of Wonder Woman or other Amazonians. They're sexy because they're just badasses, and it's just like they let their actions speak for their sexiness. That's the thing, and it's like I appreciate that. It's not sexualizing anybody, except for maybe one moment with Steve Trevor in that pool area in the on Themyscira. Aside from that, maybe, but other than that, it's pretty like we're playing this like respectfully, and we let their like actions speak for themselves. So it's everything about this movie is great except for the Ares thing. But anyway, finally got that done. Happy International Women's Day. Even though I know it's past, but I want to make sure I did one for Wonder Woman. Obviously, I have to do one for Wonder Woman. But I'm going to start next week with some spoiler reviews of like a lot of Star Wars stuff. Trying to get all those together, hopefully like, as much as in order as possible, and then right in time before Obi-Wan Kenobi series begins to air. So anyway, I will see you guys next time. Take care.